Adidas had Michael Jordan in its hands and let him go. In 1984, Adidas ruled global sportswear and barely cared about basketball. When a rookie named Michael Jordan entered the NBA, his agent David Falk came to Adidas first because Jordan had grown up wearing the brand and genuinely wanted to sign with them. Adidas listened, then hesitated, then passed. An unproven guard wasn't worth the bet. Nike, still a scrappy underdog trying to break into basketball, saw things differently. In October 1984, they offered Jordan $500,000 a year, his own signature line, and a royalty structure nobody had given a rookie before. The Air Jordan 1 launched in 1985, got banned by the NBA, and sold out everywhere anyway. Nike expected $3 million in first-year sales. They made $126 million instead. By 2023, Jordan brand alone was generating over $6 billion a year. Adidas didn't lose a deal. They lost an empire. eBay bought Skype for $2.6 billion in September 2005 and immediately discovered one small problem. Nobody on eBay wanted to make phone calls. CEO Meg Whitman believed it would make auctions warmer, more human. The logic sounded fine in a boardroom. In practice, eBay users wanted to win an auction, not have a chat. They preferred silence, speed, and cheap shipping. eBay bolted call buttons onto listings anyway. Hardly anyone touched them. By 2007, eBay wrote down $1.4 billion of Skype's value. In 2009, they sold 65% of it for $1.9 billion. 2 years later, Microsoft bought it for $8.5 billion. The call finally connected. Just not for eBay. In June 1999, an 18-year-old named Sean Fanning built a program called Napster that let people share music files directly from their computers, for free, instantly, with no label and no permission asked. College campuses caught fire. By early 2001, over 26 million people were trading songs like baseball cards. Record labels didn't see an opportunity. They saw a threat. Metallica sued in April 2000. The Recording Industry Association of America followed. Napster spent every dollar in courtrooms instead of building subscriptions, licensing deals, or any kind of Plan B. In July 2001, a federal court shut it down. 2 years later, Apple launched iTunes and made hundreds of millions selling exactly what Napster had already proved people wanted. Napster built the room. It just never figured out how to charge for the door. Nintendo and Sony were supposed to build the future of gaming together. In the late 1980s, Nintendo partnered with Sony to create a CD add-on called the PlayStation. The deal was close, the technology was ready, and then came January 1991. At the Consumer Electronics Show, Sony announced the partnership proudly from the stage. The very next morning, Nintendo walked out and announced a completely different deal with Philips instead. Sony executives found out they'd been dumped in public. Nintendo was worried about losing control over licensing, so it walked. The Philips deal went nowhere. Sony, furious and newly motivated, built its own console from scratch. In December 1994, the PlayStation launched in Japan and rewrote gaming history. Nintendo canceled the partnership and spent the next 3 decades competing against the company it had accidentally created. In August 1981, IBM launched its personal computer and needed an operating system fast. They hired a small company called Microsoft to provide one. Bill Gates agreed, but asked for one thing in return. Microsoft would license the software, not hand it over. IBM, focused on shipping hardware, agreed without blinking. Microsoft delivered MS-DOS, adapted from software it had picked up for around $50,000. IBM sold millions of machines. But the moment other manufacturers started building IBM-compatible computers, they needed that same operating system too. Microsoft licensed it to all of them. IBM sold boxes. Microsoft sold the engine inside every box in the world. By the 1990s, Microsoft dominated personal computing. IBM had built the platform and handed the keys to someone else without realizing it. In February 2005, the New York Times paid $410 million for About.com, a website quietly generating enormous traffic through search while newspapers were starting to crack. For years it worked. Then the Times decided to refocus on journalism and simplify. In August 2012, they sold About.com to IAC for $300 million, taking a loss and walking away from digital scale they didn't fully understand. IAC rebuilt it, renamed it Dotdash, leaned hard into SEO and commerce, and by 2021 it was valued in the billions. The Times handed someone else the compound interest and kept the printing press. In April 2004, Disney released Home on the Range, a hand-drawn film that flopped quietly. CEO Michael Eisner had already decided the pencil was finished. That same year, Disney shut down most of its traditional animation division and let go of roughly 250 animators, people who had drawn The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. The studio shifted almost entirely to CGI, chasing Pixar. Then in 2006, Disney paid $7.4 billion to buy Pixar entirely and bring real creative leadership back in-house. The artists who came with that deal helped make Frozen and Tangled. The future needed artists after all, just not the ones Disney let go first. In July 2006, Yahoo had a chance to buy Facebook for $1 billion. They'd agreed on the price. Then Yahoo's stock dipped, and CEO Terry Semel tried to lower the offer to $850 million at the last moment. Mark Zuckerberg, then 22, simply said no. When Yahoo came back with the original number, it was already too late. Yahoo went off to build its own social network instead. It was called Yahoo Mash. Nobody remembers it, because there was nothing to remember. Facebook kept growing. By 2012, it went public at over $100 billion. Yahoo was eventually sold to Verizon for about $4.5 billion. Yahoo thought $1 billion was too much to spend on a college kid's website. Walking away was the real cost. In 2008, Nokia was selling over 400 million phones a year. No company on Earth moved more mobile devices. Google quietly offered Nokia a chance to adopt Android before it took over the world. CEO Olli-Pekka Kallasvuo declined. Symbian, Nokia's own software, was good enough. It wasn't. Against Android and the iPhone, Symbian felt sluggish and years behind. Developers left, users noticed, market share slipped every quarter. In 2010, Nokia brought in Stephen Elop, who made one final bet by choosing Windows Phone over Android. That bet failed just as quickly. By 2013, Nokia sold its entire phone division to Microsoft for $7.2 billion. Within 2 years, Microsoft had written most of it off. Nokia had dominated mobile for a decade and spent the next 5 years refusing to believe the ground had shifted beneath them. On October 28, 2021, Facebook announced it was changing its name to Meta and betting the entire company on the metaverse, a virtual world of avatars, digital land, and VR headsets. Mark Zuckerberg shifted direction almost overnight, pouring more than $40 billion into reality labs. Employees strapped on heavy headsets to sit in virtual offices where eye contact didn't exist, and simple conversations took twice as long as a regular Zoom call. Most users tried it once, felt deeply strange, and went back to scrolling Instagram. Losses on the Metaverse project alone passed $7 billion. Meta laid off over 21,000 employees and quietly shifted focus back to ads and AI. Facebook and Instagram, the businesses everyone actually used, kept the lights on while the metaverse sat mostly empty. The future is still loading, and the avatars are still missing their legs.